It was whirlwind and yet one of the most organized endeavors I ever did. It was a hugely collaborative process. I came in with my kind of ideal vision, as most directors do, of like, this is kind of what I want and this is where I'm going. And then I cast the show and I ended up with these two absolutely phenomenal people that have.
How big of attendance at your audition?
I had, I believe, 9 people come.
Oh, okay.
So,
So you were very fortunate with being able to get the quality
I was.
cast.
And actually, I had a very difficult decision making my cast. I had some supremely talented people come in, and I had to almost pull my hair out to figure out who I wanted to cast. And unfortunately for everybody who auditioned for me, they ended up waiting a little while because it was right before Thanksgiving that we auditioned, and I couldn't make a decision. I was like, oh my gosh, can I ruin like 7 other people's Thanksgivings? And I honestly couldn't come to a decision. I was very torn, especially for my character Vonda. I was like, I've got several people that would give me a completely different show no matter who I cast.
Did you have several good candidates for Vonda?
I did. I had several good candidates, and I had several candidates for Thomas as well. It was just a matter of like who ended up working the best and whose chemistry I enjoyed the best. That's how I based my casting decision. It just took a really long time for me to think on it. Some directors like sleep on it overnight. I slept on it for like 3 or 4 nights. So, but it was. I have every faith I made a wonderful decision. Dave and Kat are just phenomenal together.
The chemistry is very good.
It is. It was magical to watch. It was one of those shows as a director, I pretty much was like, I'm going to do blocking.
Well,
and
you know,
it's
it's really good that you were able to cast those two, because the death of this play with only two characters, if they didn't have a good chemistry.
Oh, exactly. And that was my biggest fear going into this.
It'd be horrible.
I was like, okay, I'm going in February time slot. Not everybody likes doing shows this time of year. Okay, what am I going to do? I need 2 really strong people, and that was my big fear, is I wasn't going to get people strong enough. And I was blessed at auditions to get several people that could have carried the show beautifully. And I had to make my decision, and I picked 2, and they have carried it beyond my wildest expectations.
I'm sure that they got off book very quickly, and the chemistry was probably just solid from the very beginning.
From day one. Day one. They interacted beautifully. They had this lovely to and fro that worked very beautifully. Dave in particular really embraced the character Thomas. I don't know how much of that's because he's kind of similar to Thomas himself, but he always made these great discoveries that he thought. I remember our first read through. He was me and Kat and my assistant director, stage manager, Kate Cosentino. We were sitting around during the read-through, and we kind of stopped, and I was like, God, he's so misogynistic. And all the girls were like, yeah, God, he's such a... And Dave is sitting there on his own going, no, he's not. What do you mean? And it was just one of those things because, well, I mean, one of the themes on this play is this understated misogyny, and he just didn't see it the way that we do, because as females, I think we see it a little bit more in day-to-day life, and he just didn't get that. And it wasn't until we kind of explained it to him, broke it down, and pointed out parts that he's like, oh, he is kind of misogynistic. We're like, yeah, it's okay, Dave.
On the day that I find that woman, I shall marry her.
Thomas, that speech, it's brilliant.
Thanks. I spent enough time on it.
So actually this play is all about child abuse.
What? No, this play is not about child abuse. Jesus Christ! This idiotic urge to reduce everything to some trivial social issue.
Child abuse isn't exactly trivial.
Okay, it's not trivial, but you're being trite. Let's not be trite, all right? This is not anthropology, it's not sociology, this is a play.
You just be pretty and talented and do what you're doing, because Thomas doesn't think he's misogynistic either. So it kind of worked very beautifully to have that. And Kat and Dave both just grew, and we did a lot of table work with this show. We did a lot of
discussion.
A lot of sitting around and talking, and just to get us all on the same page. And it really, I know it frustrated them to a certain degree at times, because they're both very, let's just do it, let's do it. And I was like, we need to talk about it first so we all know what we're doing. And they eventually, we all got on the same page. And by the time we were done with table work, the blocking of the show was already done, which we, of course, altered here and there as we were learning about it. But they beautifully just took it, and they started, and when we did one of our first run-throughs, I was like, and I could have an audience. it was one of those shows where I think we were 3 weeks out from tech, and I was like, we're ready.
You shall be my slave. Men being what men are, I shall draw up a contract defining the terms. Do you consent?
To anything you demand.
Here's my hand on it. They shake hands. There's a Greek who's come to town.
A Greek.
A real Greek. He rides a snow-white stallion and wears tall black leather boots and usually has a pair of Negro servants in tow. I want you to find out where he comes from. Everything about him. I'm going to let this handsome animal pay court to me.
But Fonda,
What's this? Insurrection already?
forgive me.
Meet me tomorrow in the birch grove, near that statue of Aphrodite.
At what time?
You can wait for me until I decide to arrive. And don't come unless you've found out about this Greek. Now, kiss my foot.
We're ready. And we got to the point where, as we were rehearsing, especially during Tech Week, we were kind of like, these rehearsals aren't as solid as they were a week ago. And we're kind of like, well, that's probably because they're to the point where they just need the audience. They need the energy
Right.
of a live crowd. And
Well, I'm sure it's probably going to be a big bump from last night.
Oh, it's going to be
tonight.
huge. It's going to be huge.
I think the adrenaline's going to be rushing this evening.
Oh yes, definitely. They were even mentioning it last night. Both of them were kind of like, God, I felt a little off tonight. And I was like, you guys were wonderful. I was very thrilled with your performances last night. And they're like, yeah, but tomorrow's gonna be better. We're gonna get tomorrow better. And then they both kind of stopped and went, oh my God, we open tomorrow. And it's because it's been such a journey. And I think everybody goes through that when they do a show. Is you go through the whole rehearsal process. You kind of really grow and you become this little family unit, and you're not really thinking eventually you're going to open. Like, that's always your ultimate goal. But then all of a sudden opening day's here and you're like, oh, other people are going to see this now.
I certainly respect your devotion to principle.
I don't need your respect, excuse me. I shall love a man who pleases me, and please a man who makes me happy. But only as long as he makes me happy, and not a moment longer.
And to a man, there's nothing crueler than a woman's infidelity.
To a woman there is. The enforced fidelity of men. Can I move around?
Yes, please, move.
Now, this is probably one of the most adult a play that has ever been produced here.
I completely agree. And that's saying something considering the show I directed last year, where I had...
I mean, this is tops that.
It does top that. The Little Dog Laughed was a wonderful show, and there was, a simulated sexual scene in it. But this is way more in depth. This is way more. The content of this is just so much harder
Right.
hitting.
Goes in a lot of taboo quarters and stuff, or in the mind of various people.
Yes, it
Yeah.
does. It definitely does. And I think it's going to make a lot of people think. And
Oh,
a lot
sure.
of people consider what they're doing and why somebody would want this lifestyle. And it is. Unfortunately, when I've explained it to people, a lot of people have gone, oh, it's like the 50 Shades books. I was like, oh, no, it's so much better than those. It's so much.
It might help some of the 20-year marriages that
Maybe they'll find some new ideas. I don't know. But they're going to get them in this. And it's definitely one of those, it's just the whole essence of domination and control through the show. That's what the whole play is about, is who has control, when do they have control, and when do they think they have control.
Come on, Kushemsky loves it getting led around.
Does he really?
Would you stop it? You're so goddamn coy, it's like being on a fucking dance floor with you.
Do you want some coffee? There's still some made, though it's probably tar by now. Still, I can pour you a cup. Do you want some?
And boy, that is so poignant, because anybody that's over 4 or 5, realizes that is essential.
Who has control in that certain situation, and both my characters are just kind of like, one of them knows and one of them thinks they know, and it's a good self-discovery for the one that thinks they know what's going on. So it creates just this wonderful atmosphere, and
Was there any time through the rehearsal process that you hit a brick wall?
Not really, no. Because anytime we started stumbling, we had some issues. The joy of our studio theater here at Old Town Playhouse is, of course, we're in the thrust situation here, and that makes blocking a show extremely
Right.
interesting. So we did have some couple issues there. We had a couple of issues with how we were going to get something done that was going to be visible for everyone, because one of the things in this with the power and the control that we're using is they get very close at times, and when you have two actors very close and almost face to face and nose to nose, you're kind of like, well, who's going to miss out on that in the audience, and we got to work it and we have to do it. And I think one of my biggest chants during it was cheat out. But we ended up working it out, and it was always just kind of collaborative effort. More than once, me and my assistant director came in, and she was Vonda and I was Thomas, and we worked it out, and we played the characters, and we went through it, and the actors would come in that night, and we'd be like, okay, we're doing it this way because everybody can see it this way. So there were a couple of times, but we always managed to work it out. We were never stumped for any kind of period of time.
Right. Estey, I think the troops are coming in
They
right
are.
now. Anyway, I'm looking forward to opening night this evening, and I wish you all the greatest success.
Thank you so much, Wayne.
Thank you very much.